We are back, and this is it. We are in round 10 here in the day one calling Dallas Fort Worth main event. And we're down to one game. And this one game should be very interesting because we've seen both of these players play on stream today. And I'm really excited to find this match and just watch what happens because we have an Oldhim player. So let's jump into it because I love me some Oldhim. So I'm ready to see how this goes. We have Alec. We just watched Alec win his round 9. I believe it was round 9 victory. This is round 10, and Caleb here is Caleb is with the Winter's Whale. We saw Caleb from earlier.
We did. So this is two players that we've actually seen on the coverage already, and we know that they are forces to be reckoned with.
We've got Caleb sitting at 8-1, trying to push to that 9-1 record, almost guaranteeing a spot in. And Alec is, I would say, sitting pretty at 9-0 at this point.
You know, if you're Alec, you want to get that clean sweep. You want to get that 10-0.
That would feel so good.
Oh,
yeah. And starting the game off with the Icequake Yellow, giving a +2 buff onto the Frost Fang Red, which is a scary attack in and of itself. So Alec has the easy decision of just jamming 3 cards down and saying, I would prefer to call it like that.
Yeah, just
draw my hand up.
Heavy block, draw back up. I see absolutely no problem with this. And I do spy a couple Bramble Sparks in hand, and he's immediately just going to throw them down. He's like, I got these Bramble Sparks.
Bramble.
Let's get the arcane damage rolling.
Yeah, exactly. Bramble, making the embodiment of lightning into a blue Arcanic Shockwave. Not fusing, but it is going to deal 2 arcane and 1 card in hand.
And have go again. So this is
correct.
A turn where he can just push through 4 arcane damage total. And that's pretty scary if you're Oldhim, right?
Yeah, it definitely makes you consider using the effect on Oldhim, pitching an Earth card for this defense reaction effect. Because if he does so prior to this, and it looks like he doesn't do that, if he does so prior to that, then you can stop the Arcane from Rosetta Thorn.
That's, 100% true. It's a very tricky thing, right? I mean, do you have enough pitch to do this? Do you have the right pitch to do this, whether it's Earth or Frost?
And I think Caleb is like literally best case scenario to do that if he has enough ice cards in his deck and in his hand, because you're incentivized if you're playing Winter's Whale to basically trigger that Oldhim effect more than I think you probably would want to or should if you don't have Winter's Whale, because Winter's Whale is a fantastic weapon that if you can pitch an ice card for and have a 1-card hand, you can just threaten constant creation of Frostbite tokens. But instead, he's just going to say, I'm going to hit you for 6 with a Snow Under Yellow.
Casual 6.
What do you think?
It's a pretty good turn. I mean, like, being able to block that much and then just throw a 6 attack back is, it's nice. You know, it's definitely nice. Taking the 4 arcane, not so nice, but still not too bad. We do see some cards in Alec's hand that don't block, such as that Lightning Surge. And so, I mean, that's something you really have to consider. Like, I have this Lightning Surge in my hand. I can't block with it. So it's going to have to play a part in my turn rather than being able to block with it.
Yeah, so Lightning Press doesn't feel good to try and block with when you have a block-heavy hand. But he does feel comfortable with some of these non-attack actions, like So Tomorrow here blocks for 4.
Pretty nice. Like, being able to use your So Tomorrow to block for 4 isn't too bad. We do see a Singeing Steelblade.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Singeing Steelblade is another great one to keep to push in a little bit of damage. And we have a double block.
Yeah, he's going to block. I think that's a Weave Earth as well that he blocked with. So he's just full blocking this out, which is interesting because it's pure damage. There was no fuse effect, so you're not worried about a Frostbite. You could consider taking some. But instead, he's just going to play very safe so that he can slam down a Singeing Steelblade and just give more arcane damage to your opponent.
Just deal some arcane damage.
And have some arcane damage.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that's Alec's strategy here? Just try to chip him down as much as he can with little incidental arcane damage and try to get there that way?
It depends on how much arcane is actually in your deck.
I think so.
As Briar, if you have enough, this is a great strategy against Oldhim because they can't react to this at defense reaction portion.
These are draft decks rather than sealed decks, so I mean, there's a very real possibility that he's just loaded up with a ton of arcane damage cards.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
And the fact that he's kind of playing like this helps me think that, yeah, he might just have a ton of them.
Blocks with the Yellow Glacial Footsteps, a card you'd rather have at the end of the game but drew a little early. That's okay. In Flesh and Blood, a card that you draw early can still block for 3, and guys, I'm so excited. Winter's Bite.
I think I know a guy who likes this card.
This card is fantastic. In this mode, your opponent has to say, I'm going to lose a card some way. How do I want to lose it? And in this case, I'll pitch.
It's really interesting in Oldhim in particular because Oldhim's not really a hero that can go wide, and this kind of gives you that effect of going wide.
It very much does, because you're basically taking a card from your opponent's hand without actually pushing an attack. This is an attack, except it's not an attack, but it is an attack.
But it's attacking your opponent's hand directly.
It's attacking their hand directly, yes. And, oh, I love to see it. You've taken a card from their hand already. Now you're giving them a Frostbite token with Coat of Frost. You are very much trying to seize control of the tempo of the game.
Yeah.
Is he going to – oh, he's slamming down a Snow Under for 6 again.
Another six attack card. He's like, yo, Briar, you need to slow it down. Slow it down just a little bit here.
And look, there's a Ball Lightning in hand on top. So
That's
if
rough.
it's most likely going to be that you're not blocking in this scenario, because you're going to be losing the last 2 cards from hand that can actually block, and that's exactly what he's just going to take the 6. I think that's the right call too.
I think so too.
You take the 6 there because you avoided it last time.
Yeah, and once again, like, life is a resource here, and hand is also a resource, and in this situation, it's better to use your life rather than the cards in your hand.
Sometimes it is, until you're playing a Briar. In this case, he's going to overpay for the Rites of Lightning, showing a Ball Lightning, so this is going to do the old go again thing if the arcane damage comes across and hits, which it will. This creates an embodiment token.
This Rites of Lightning is one of my favorite cards to get as Briar. I mean, it does everything you want. It's an attack action with go again, does arcane damage. It's just so nice. Even in like the baseline scenario like we have here, it's just really nice. Coming in for 4 at the red and 1 arcane damage with go again.
Yeah, there's a reason that this is red and that this is rare, because a red rare Rites of Lightning is generally hard to get, and it's very effective if you fuse alongside of this. If this were like a common, this would be even scarier to play against Briars. And so it's probably right that this is sitting at the rare slot.
I like to think of it as like a premium Arcanic Shockwave. Kind of do something similar, but it's got that little extra kick of getting that go again.
Yeah, which makes all the difference. It really does make all the difference.
For sure, absolutely. And so he is going to be fusing it. It will have go again. So, I mean, Alec can follow this up with just a kind of like a no arcane damage Rosetta Thorn, or he can just, try to save this card if he wants to. He does have some options here, which I think is, kind of where you want to be. You want to have these options.
Arsenaling the Ball Lightning here makes a ton of sense to set it up for a later turn, especially if you do have a lot of cards like the Inspire Lightning that we see in the pitch there, because that card is fantastic.
I think it's a very interesting thing to think about, right? Do you play the Ball Lightning?
Oh, he is just going to jam it down. Yep.
Yeah. It does take a card out of his hand.
Yep.
I mean, that's also good too.
He takes the damage, by the way, from the Rites of Lightning, so that he can then fully block the Ball Lightning, which does technically attack for 4 as well. So either way, you're going to take 4 on that turn.
So we have a 7 attack this time coming in. It looks like
and he does fuse it. Okay.
Got the fuse. So I really like this fuse effect. It's coming in for 7, but also threatening another Frostbite token.
Yeah, this is the second best fuse effect in Oldhim as far as these common cards are concerned. Glacial Footsteps perhaps being the first best, because it gets Dominate and it already attacks for 1,000.
Absurd amount.
So Snow Under, if it hits here, it does create a Frostbite token for your opponent, and it just pushes 7. The red Snow Under is a card that you look for in draft if you're thinking you want to go Oldhim, or if you see it, you go, oh, I could take that and make a nasty deck around this card.
And it really puts your opponent in a really tricky situation, just because, like, it's like, all right, so you're in a situation where you can take maybe a little bit of damage here, but even if you do, you get taxed.
Yeah.
And if you're, like, playing Briar where you really want to go wide, play a bunch of cards, you don't want to get taxed that much. It looks like he's going to block a little bit and get taxed.
This blocks 3. He's going to accept the Frostbite token. And the reason he's doing this is most likely because his hand is all 0. So you can pitch a single card here and play stuff. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to pitch, play a flash, and then pitch for that flash. That's going to give go again naturally. Floating a resource, or 2 resources in this case, allows you to come in with Rosetta Thorn. And so he's okay taking that tax that we talked about a moment ago, because you're still attacking for 3 with Arcanic Shockwave with guaranteed go again, and then coming in with Rosetta Thorn for 2 and 2.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a really great line, and it's exactly what you want to do. Like we've talked about it a little bit before. Just chip Oldhim down. Just chip him down.
He's going to take 4 here.
2 arcane at a time.
Take the 2 and 2. I'm going to imagine. No, maybe he's choosing to block or defense react here, as defense reactions could prevent some form of that damage, and it doesn't commit a card from blocking.
He did choose to end up blocking it.
Yeah, he just threw it down.
So we do have 10 and 10. We still need a lot more arcane damage from Briar to close the game out. And if I'm Oldhim here, I'm not feeling too bad.
Winter's Bite into Winter's Grasp feels fine. This is the Winter's Grasp we saw last turn that he chose to Arsenal. It was going to be one of those scenarios where if he chooses to Arsenal it, it's one you probably want to play because it does cost something to kind of come out of that Arsenal and play down. It's attacking for a nice casual 6.
Yeah, I mean, 2 cost, 6 attack card is a, it's a pretty good baseline.
Yeah, the alternative play he could have considered, and maybe he did consider, was holding it in hand for a guaranteed pitch for the Winter's Wail, but that would require you to pitch multiple cards, and it looks like he already had a Winter's Bite blue, so he could have, in this moment, he could have attacked with Winter's Wail for 4 instead of this 6 here, and threatened a hit for the Frostbites, but he chose to instead clear the Arsenal so that perhaps he could, set that up for later turns.
Yeah, I do like clearing the Arsenal here. I think it's a good thing to do. And it does threaten 6. 6 is a pretty good number.
6 is larger than 4.
6 is larger than 4.
So in that respect, he is attacking for more damage.
And when most of your cards are blocking for 2, it's saying like, hey, you're going to either commit a lot of cards or some premium block cards, or just take some damage.
Yeah,
all of those are good situations.
He did a great job last turn of preventing any creation of Embodiment of Earth tokens because he didn't take that damage. He's going to choose to block 2 here. That would have blocked 3, and that's a card you don't want to block, but that's a red Electrify.
Yeah.
But you block with it in this scenario because over the next 2 turns, you'd have to Arsenal it this turn, play it the next turn. And maybe you're just like, okay, I don't know if this game's going to give me the tempo to do that.
So this is another turn that I really like. We have Flash into Singeing Steelblade, which will deal 1 arcane damage. That Singeing Steelblade will also have Go again with 2 resources floating, so we can follow that up with 2 more arcane damage from the Rosetta Thorns. I mean, this is, we've talked about it all day. This is really what you want to do with Briar. You non-attack, attack with Go again, and then follow that up with the Rosetta Thorn. It just push through a bunch of more or less free damage.
Yeah, this would be the great time for Oldhim to consider doing the defense reaction and maybe doing it in such a way where you pitch an Earth card and an Ice card at the same time with less than 3 resources on each one so that you can trigger both and you can stop the Arcane and you can stop the 2 damage.
It looks like he's just going to straight up block from hand. So he's going to take the Arcane damage and block out the physical for the most part. I think this is if you're Alec, this is a good spot to be in because you're forcing your Oldhim to block.
Ooh, a Polar Blast from the Arsenal. So you're asking, I believe that is from Arsenal as well. So he would draw the card, and there's the card draw. You're telling your player, your opponent, Alec, you're saying, okay, you can pitch a resource and stop me from getting Dominate, or I can gain Dominate and attack with something kind of crazy.
I guess it all depends on, if Alec thinks he can follow it up with a really, really big attack.
Well, I think Polar Blast actually applies to any attack. And so I don't believe, let me check on that. I don't know if it applies to attack actions or everything or just attack actions. But either way, he's playing an Icy Encounter Red, which is already a really good attack.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be coming in for 6, threatening an on-hit effect of creating a Frostbite token. So, yeah, a very threatening attack. Technically lethal. Ooh, blocking with some premium cards here. Blocking with a Bramble Spark, which will block for 3, and a Singeing Steelblade.
This is exactly what you want if your Caleb is taking cards away and avoiding more arcane damage. Because if you take more arcane damage, then you are very, very you're running very close to just absolutely getting blown out over the next few turns. And indeed, he's able to just destroy a bunch of that hand so that he can so that all he can do is Rosetta Thorn on his turn.
I mean, I think if you're Caleb, you're pretty happy, right? When you see your opponent blocking with these cards instead of playing them, you're like, that's 2 less arcane damage that I don't have to worry about.
Yeah. An alternative play in that last scenario was giving Winter's Wail Dominate, because Polar Blast does apply to your next attack in general. So giving a Winter's Wail Dominate comes across for 4 if you want to pull that. But it's far better to play the 6 attack that creates Frostbite.
I think that's a very interesting thing to note, because that's not a line of play you see often in Limited, because Winter's Wail is a Majestic card.
Yeah. Coming in with Snow Under. Chill to the Bone into Snow Under. So basically, if Snow Under is allowed to hit at 6 attack, then Chill to the Bone is going to trigger and give 2 Frostbites.
Yeah, and so this is you basically, instead of fusing it and getting that on hit for 1 Frostbite, just going to play the card and threaten 2 Frostbites.
Which is far better.
It's doubly better,
Yeah,
twice as good.
And, oh, look at this. There's an Amulet of Lightning in hand on Alex's hand there, so that does not block.
It's tricky, yeah. I mean, a lot of these lightning cards are very tricky like that don't block. So we have like Ball Lightning, Lightning Press, the Amulet. Like these cards have no block on them, so they're very powerful. But they do have this downside of not being able to block.
He does have enough attacks in hand that do block for 3 that he can just 2-card block this out, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
The question becomes, which card do you keep to attack with, because you do have the resources for it, seeing that you have the Amulet, which pitches blue, but you could just pitch the Amulet here and play any of these. Gonna instead not pitch it and use it to fuse so he can deal an Arcane.
Yeah, I think that's good too. I mean, you're at the point here where like every single point of Arcane damage is a big deal, more so than any other point of this game, because you want to get into that kill zone, right? If you're Alec, you want to get your opponent as low as possible so you can kind of just get them out of nowhere with arcane damage.
Yeah, I'm curious here too. There is a possible line of play where he uses the defense reaction effect in this instance, but instead he's going to actually Biting Gale, which is fun. Biting Gale from Arsenal blocks 4, which is a great break point. I think he did reveal. If he reveals, then your opponent has to pitch 2 or discard a card.
I think so.
And so in that instance, he did choose to pitch the Amulet, so that you can't Arsenal the Amulet, which is good for Caleb, because Arsenaling an Amulet's actually a fine play for Briar.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's just it's just a non-attack that has go again.
It's one non-attack for go again, and that can set up some good stuff.
It's very interesting. I mean, like, this is probably one of the longer Briar games you've actually seen. I think Caleb's done a fantastic job keeping a lot of this aggression off.
Coming across with the Winter's Wail, pitching a blue Chill to the Bones. This is 4 damage. If it hits, create a Frostbite. I bet you in this moment, Caleb's feeling a little bit more pressure because he was not able to string together a 6 attack that requires 2 cards or something larger that creates some sort of an ancillary threat. And in this moment, just attacking with the Winter's Wail is probably not what you want. Yes, your opponent doesn't have an arsenal, which you took away from them successfully last turn, but you really want to kind of steal more cards and keep your pressure on. And he's just going to take the damage, go to 2, and say, I'm going to win the game on my turn, playing some maybe Inspire Lightning, Arcane damage.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, it looks like he's got what looks like an Inspire Lightning and an Arcanic Shockwave, so he's going to deal some Arcane here.
So this Arcanic Shockwave will cost 1 resource to play because of that Frostbite token. So
he's going to pitch the Inspire Lightning instead of playing it.
And so we still have a Weave Lightning in hand, which is what he's revealing. And what was the other card? I can't quite make out what the other card is in his hand. But either way, this is still coming in.
I think it's a Rejuvenate.
Rejuvenate. So it's still coming in for some Arcane damage.
And he did fuse, so he can actually play Rejuvenate at instant speed.
Oh, so that's a very interesting thing to think.
He's not out of the woods yet. Maybe that's why you take the life. Maybe you're going to gain 2 life right back here in a moment anyway.
Yeah, I just thought about that. We saw Saint do that earlier in this tournament. I kind of undervalue Rejuvenate, but I've seen it put in a little bit of work here.
Well, there's the extra step of going through of actually fusing a card so that you can play Rejuvenate at instant speed. But sometimes if you block with 3 cards from hand and you just have a Rejuvenate, then you can get some value out of it. I agree, though. I have played less Rejuvenates in my deck, just period, end of story, because there is that extra hoop to jump through if you wanted to play that on your opponent's turn at instant speed. Nevertheless, it's kind of like a sigil.
It is. It definitely is, especially in a situation like here, where you can just kind of, gain some life and kind of get back a little bit of that tempo. You're not as low.
Interesting. We have a block for 4, full blocking the attack, and then a pitch on the defense reaction.
Gonna play the Rejuvenate.
Yeah, and at instant speed, he can play the Rejuvenate to avoid doing the defense reaction's effect. In response to Oldhim's hero effect triggering and forcing a card to go to the top of the deck, you instead say, well, you can't really force this card because I'm responding at instant speed.
Yeah, I think that's great. I actually think that's really, really great.
It's a cool interaction.
I don't think Caleb called that he had a Rejuvenate in hand.
No,
right?
You make that play because you expect that your opponent took my my Winter's Wail last turn for 4 because he has lethal here. I'm going to stop lethal. Oh, he just gained life.
Oh,
now he's at 4. Oh, wait, I'm at 5. Polar Blast.
Yeah, we coming on in with the Polar Blast. Was this one played from Arsenal or from hand?
I think it was played from Arsenal. Pitch 2, and if you don't, my next attack gains Dominate. It can apply to Winter's Wail. You saw him gesture towards Winter's Wail.
Just kind of like pointing at the Winter's Wail.
He's going to pitch 2. He draws the card off of the effect.
Still have 2 resources floating.
He's
So
going to
no
pitch there and just Winter's Wail coming across. This is just coming across for 4. No hit on the ice card pitched to, force a frostbite token. Or anything like that.
Casually lethal damage.
It is casual lethal.
Yeah.
If your opponent says, this game has gone long enough, then they could just take it. No, yeah, you shouldn't do that. You should instead try to play Inspire Lightning.
He's got 2 Inspire Lightnings in.
Well, his deck is very low. As you can see, his deck is very low. So this could be a setup that he's been setting for, where you can go some sort of combination of Inspire Lightning.
I've definitely been in Alec's situation here, where you have Inspire Lightnings, but no Lightning cards. He ended up pitching his Lightning card to the effect.
Yeah, he blocks 3 here.
So not too bad. Not too
It's
bad.
interesting. He could have pitched the Inspire Lightning Yellow that he just blocked with.
Yeah.
But instead, he chose to pitch the Lightning card and then block with Inspire Lightning, saying, I don't really value the Inspire Lightning too much.
Very interesting. But perhaps he was expecting a bigger attack than just the Winter's Wail.
It's nice, too, because both of those Inspire Lightnings actually blocked for 3 in that scenario.
That is true. That is true.
Coming in for 2.
We have 2, 1 resource floating, no go again or anything like that.
Looks like a blue Arcanic Shockwave, so he's probably going to sit there and arsenal that card going forward, allowing yourself to set up a 5-card hand perhaps, but Caleb doesn't want any part of that and instead wants to take away the ability for Briar to play 5-card hands because that's what makes them good.
Yeah, two things to note. 2 things to note.
Is this a double pitch to a double? Look at this. He's pitching an Icy Encounter,
yeah,
forcing the card. No arsenal for you, good sir, is what he says. Blocks the 2.
Prevents the damage and forces a card back to the top.
And in a fatigue scenario like this where both players are down to a couple cycles of their deck, or a couple hands, basically, of their deck, this is the moment where Winter's Wail becomes so good.
It's very scary.
And your opponent goes, oh, no, because both players are down to this, and you can literally just pitch a blue Winter's Wail for 4 and a Frostbite.
And one of the cards that he's cycling through has no block. It's a Lightning Press.
Yeah.
It's a really, really bad situation to be in.
I mean, it looks like maybe 6, 7 cards in Alec's deck right now. And if that's the case, you have maybe 2 turns of pressure to apply. And he just lost the blue Arcanic Shockwave that can deal some arcane. He's really not in a kill range, super dangerous kill range. This is going to help, though. Bramble Spark.
5 is not healthy, but relatively healthy, all things considered.
This will deal a point of arcane. He will take the point. And do keep in mind, we haven't talked about it at all this game, but he has saved the rotten old buckler this entire game, which is a fantastic stopper of breakpoint attacks. Anything coming across for 4, you just say nope.
Very innocuous card, just kind of sitting here the whole round. And Alec has his boots here, but I don't know if he's going to be able to pull off a turn where he can actually use them.
Well, he's going to come across for 2 and 2 after this with the boots, so that would make a fine attack follow-up.
I think at this point you want to do it.
Yeah, right? There's the defense reaction to stop the next 2. That is very smart. That's exactly what you do. You pay the resource here. You're going to come across for 2 and 2. The arcane is soaked by Oldhim's defense reaction because it blocks the next 2.
Yep. And then as Oldhim, you're just still sitting here at a fairly healthy 4 life.
Let's see how many cards are drawn. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like there's only 2 cards left in deck for Alec.
It's getting down to it.
Caleb pitches a blue Winter's Grasp.
Yeah.
4 and a 4. Almost had a rune chant. No, it's 4 and a Frostbite.
And you're pretty comfortable here, right? Just coming in for 4 every single turn.
Alec's hand, 2 cards don't block.
Oh yeah, there's the amulet that we've seen, and the lightning press.
So he can block with Weave Lightning, and he can block with the Inspire Lightning. Blocking with both stops 4 damage, but then your turn is nil.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier, how lightning cards are very powerful, but they have a very real downside. There's a good number of them that just don't block at all. And sometimes you just get hands like this where this does block for 3. That puts him to 1 because the Embodiment of Earth token is active. So that blocked for 3 instead of 2, giving him a Frostbite. But I mean, there's not much that he can actually do with this hand outside of playing that Inspire Lightning. Maybe is he going to jam down the amulet? I think he's considering it for sure. Man, I got to say, this Winter's Wail is putting in so much work.
Yeah, he's going to jam down the amulet maybe and then play the Inspire Lightning and deal a couple of points of arcane.
But he does have a frostbite, so he has to pitch.
Oh, he can't even do the
can't
arcane. Yeah, he
fuse.
can't do the arcane if you play the amulet. So maybe you don't in this scenario play the amulet.
Yeah, that frostbite from the
oh, it's
Winter's
just
Well
Rosetta.
is
He's
so
he's
good.
comfortable with the Rosetta here, pushing 2.
Yeah, that Winter's Well creating these frostbites is really doing it.
So it's interesting because now we know after this turn we know every card in Alec's deck if we've been tracking. Oh, he's gonna. This is interesting. He's gonna play the Earth Defense Reaction, block the next 2 points of damage.
I think this is a good call. At this point, you kind of want to start cycling your deck, getting cards back on the bottom, and doing this instead of actually blocking with it is a really good call.
Yeah, he's gonna set the Inspire Lightning. He's gonna draw the last 3 cards in his deck. The Amulet of Lightning stays out, but the last 3 cards in his deck don't block.
Double?
It's not true. One thing blocks.
Double
I
lightning
apologize.
press.
Lightning press. And there, by the way, hey, there's a Glacial Footsteps that is fused, and
Yep,
that's just going to do it. The Glacial Footsteps
game.
for the 8 Dominate to finish the game, and he fatigued out Briar.
Oh, man.
He took every card, fatigued it out, and said, I will take this victory. And that I believe that puts both players at 9-1.
I think so.
And that's a really great place to be if you want to make that cut into day 2. Putting yourself in that 9-1 range, I think you're very comfortable in 9-1. And in fact, I think we actually have standings for round 10. Let's jump into the standings for round 10 and take a look and see what we actually have and where players are actually sitting. And look, Alec Myers, who we just watched, is actually sitting on top, right behind Caleb. Both players sitting 1 and 2. And then look, right down the row, number 4, Brendan Patrick. Steven, we saw Steven.
Yeah, we definitely saw Steven.
Yeah, we have Steven at 8 and 2. Continuing down, we have Tariq at 8 and 2 as well. Jeremy, we saw him on the stream as well.
I'd like to point out Matt Rogers.
Matt Rogers at 8 and 2. Bill Yowell on 15th at 8 and 2 as well. He is actually a store owner, a shop owner. That is a fantastic supporter of the game and player of the game.
Long-time supporter of Flesh and Blood.
And then as we go over into the next page, onto the 21 to 40 group, looks like Rob Seigel, I see over there, jumped out to me at the 33 spot, which I believe this is the cut to 32. And if that is the cut to 32, that is a painful spot to be in, sitting right there with the tiebreaker giving you the edge. And moving into the top 32 tomorrow, we're going to see all of these players jump over and do the draft. I think we have one more page, or maybe 2 more pages of players. No, this looks like this is the last page. These are the players that moved in and finished out this tournament, this portion of the tournament, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're going to play many more games tomorrow. I think we're going to do, correct me if I'm wrong, we're going to start off tomorrow with another draft.
We have a draft.
And they are going to draft their deck tomorrow and then move forward with, I think, 3 rounds of draft and then a cut to the top 8 where we will find who will be the winner of the Calling Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of draft decks tomorrow. We're kind of done with the sealed. Now we're getting into the really nice fine-tuned draft.
So if you would like to watch that coverage with us tomorrow, join us back here at 10 Central. We're going to jump into some draft games. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to crown a winner here tomorrow, so don't be late. Come grab a snack, sit down, eat some lasagna or something while you watch the stream. We're going to have a fantastic time tomorrow. That's enough for us. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good evening. Goodbye, and good luck.